As we approach the 2025 silly season, there is one question that keeps lingering around the F1 world. What is going to happen in 2026 regarding the drivers' lineups? Although we've seen massive shakeups in the past couple of months, it seems like another tectonic shakeup is waiting for us ahead of the new regulations, and we're all down for it. With the future of Verstappen holding the key to the avalanche in 2026, what changes are we going to see? And more importantly, who will end up as the winner and the loser at the end of it? One of the most intimidating things regarding the 2026 season, apart from the engine regulations, is of course the drivers' lineups. There is no doubt that drivers are going to look at their options, not just in the first season of the newly regulated era, but also in 2025, where teams will be preparing massively for what is about to come to the sport in the massive technical shake-up. And of course, the primary talking point will be Verstappen, who has been playing hot and cold games regarding whether or not his future is in Red Bull. The team has found themselves in a very unpleasant situation with the latest technical regulation from the FIA regarding the flexi front wings, and with a big chunk of the 2026 budget spent on how to fix a problem that is now not needing to be fixed, the team is already on the back foot for 2026. As if this wasn't enough, Verstappen himself stated that he would have to look at how his team would stand its ground in 2026, because they are going to be a rookie in the engine department, seeing the first year of the Red Bull powertrain program being launched. Furthermore, 2025 is going to be pivotal for his choices as well, because whether we like it or not, Verstappen is not going to drive in a car that is not capable of winning races, as stated by his father. But if you're to look at the other side, Silverstone, to be more precise, you would find a team that is gathering forces from all over the grid, with the majority of them familiar to Verstappen. Aston Martin is preparing to fight for the championship from day one in 2026, and with the reunion of Newey and Honda, along with some other high-profile assets like Cowell and Cardile, it would be almost impossible to say no to an offer made from their side. And trust me when I say, Lawrence Stroll doesn't accept no as an answer. The rumour has been spread around for quite some time, and it has picked up some steam on many occasions. However, the recent reports should be understood as very concerning ones for the Austrian team. Verstappen said it loud and clear that if the team continues with the development of the car like they ended up in 2024, he is not going to be a champion in the upcoming campaign. And to make matters worse, the flexi front wing saga didn't turn out the way they hoped. So Verstappen to Aston Martin is a realistic option that we could see as early as 2026, although initial reports state that the Dutchman would want to see the end of the first year of the new regulations before he decides his future. However, if he sees that the team is headed in a downslope throughout the entirety of 2025, a season in which they already invested a significant amount of the 2026 cap, then it's not a secret that he would be making a move sooner rather than later. Alonso himself supported this claim by stating that 2026 is likely going to be the last year in his career in Formula One, unless Aston Martin can cut him a contract for one more year, which, if they have Verstappen available and on their radar, they are probably unlikely to do. But if this happens, and if Verstappen finally confirms all of the rumours that are so hard to believe right now, what is waiting for Red Bull? Obviously, a rebuild and huge shake-up in their internal circles is the first thing that comes to your mind, and you'll be absolutely right to think that. Red Bull is by no means a team that is a championship contender in the constructors category right now. The only reason they won the Drivers' Championship was the ability of Max to extract everything he can out of a car that wasn't responding to any upgrades being implemented on it. The fact that he went on a 10-race winless streak in 2024 says it all, and if it happens again in 2025, which we don't see a reason why not, now that Ferrari and McLaren are locked in for the first two spots, then rest assured Red Bull will have to dig deep in order to find their issues. This might be one of the reasons why Lewis Liam Lawson was the choice to drive next to Verstappen in 2025 in a fashion that was very similar to the one that the team made in 2014. Promote Ricciardo next to Vettel, a four-time world champion with intentions to leave the team. I'm not saying that Lawson has the potential to be the next Ricciardo, but Red Bull are thinking about the future, and with the massive experience that the Kiwi has outside of Formula One, he might not be that bad of a choice after all. Red Bull has a very rich pool of young drivers that they could choose from, and one of them is certainly not going to be Tsunoda, despite all of the comments they made for the Japanese driver. There is, however, another scenario in which 2026 is going to be a huge shake-up for the Formula One world, but it won't involve a Verstappen move to Aston Martin, a Tsunoda move to the Silverstone-based squad. It's safe to say that it would be the less enjoyable choice for the green squad because it's not needed to compare the qualities of Tsunoda and Verstappen, but nevertheless, with an aging Alonso and a reckless Stroll, anything would be better once the two-time champion goes to retirement. Tsunoda hasn't been given a proper chance to prove what he can do in competitive machinery, and the comments from Red Bull that he might not be ready enough for the senior squad are only going to fuel up the fire in the Japanese driver to prove that he can indeed be a death blow to anyone else once he's given the right machinery. On top of that, we do know how much Honda takes care of its drivers, and given the fact that Tsunoda's only reason for being in Formula One in the first 2 years of his career was the presence of Honda in Red Bull. Yes, he did prove his worth many times after this poor stint, but still it looks like it was the primary reason why it plagued his chances of being promoted next to Verstappen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't perform well in other high-profile teams like Aston Martin. At this point, it's easy to understand that Tsunoda has done everything he can in order to prove himself, and to listen to Horner talk about how Hadjar has turned heads in Abu Dhabi's 3-day test after the 2024 season and how he's been faster than the Japanese driver is serving as a great motivation for Yuki to prove that he can do much more than these young drivers. He said it himself, "I am going to continue to obliterate every driver they are going to send my way," and that might be enough for Aston Martin to see the unbruised diamond that is hidden deep in Tsunoda and give him the right tools to develop him in the right direction. The 11th team on the grid from 2026 onwards, Cadillac, is unlikely to offer a seat to Tsunoda, but with Red Bull keen to promote a young driver to their sister team in the new regulations, there could be a situation where Yuki might accept a reserve role in Aston Martin for 2026 and then be promoted once Alonso retires. This is, of course, if Verstappen decides to continue his tenure with Red Bull and believes the Austrian team is going to win more races in the following period. All of this is going to prove to be a massive shake-up for the entire F1 world, and other teams should take note because in such an eventful period, you would be smart to utilize everything you can in order to bring a competitive driver to your squad. The team that holds all the cards is Aston Martin, and the team that has the most to lose is Red Bull. So with all this in mind, do you think that Verstappen's link to the Silverstone-based squad will finally come to realization? And if so, who do you think would replace him in Red Bull as the team will set sail towards a rebuild and a new era without the four-time world champion? Let us know in the comments below, and if you want to know more about the latest Cadillac drivers lineup news, make sure to check out the video that's appearing on your screen right now.